Hello, City Skylines fans. I'm SocksWayUp, and welcome back to Chillhorn, a City Skylines Snowfall DLC Let's Play series. Today, we're going to expand our city a little bit. I do have some bad news. I was recording a session of me detailing the existing city so far, and my recording software glitched out on me, so I don't have that footage anymore. It's pretty depressing, pretty sad, but we're gonna do some flyovers, some cinematics to give you an idea of what I did with the detailing. I'm not 100% sure I'm a fan of how it turned out. I could see why a lot of people don't play Snowfall as often as I would assume they would. It's fun for, I don't know, it's fun this time of year. It's fun to use, but honestly, I don't know if I'll come back to it after finishing up this series. Maybe, I don't know, but let's get into some of these detailing overviews of what we did. I also wanted to give a nighttime view of it. I think it looks gorgeous at night. The way the lights shine on the snow, that is a big plus for me. I was tempted to do a lot of the recording with the night cycle on and keep it almost nighttime, maybe dusk, to where some lights were on, some weren't on, and it looks pretty cool. And you can see that in some of the clips coming up. And yeah, again, we're gonna do some expanding, some overview of the detailing that we did, and keep fighting through some of the early game lack of money, lack of everything being unlocked, and go from there and get this city built up pretty well. By the time we get to Christmas, I think it'll be complete. I'm hoping, at least. And I can have I don't know, I got some plans going, but let's take a little look at some of the detailing we did. We added a lot of trees. I learned that some of the assets do have the snow overlay on them and some of them don't. And here's a good example of that. These bushes don't have snow on them. So it's like somebody came through and cleaned the snow off of just these bushes, which doesn't seem very realistic. So I don't know if I'll keep that, but I am a huge fan of the way this main road. Oh, before that, let's see. We use the nature reserve trails as paths in between the houses for people because of the lights on them. And I thought the ground looks pretty cool the way it's kind of worn out from people walking on it. Still does have some snow on it, but it is worn out. But then again, this road turned out really cool with these trees lining it. I love the way it looks. It looks pretty sweet to me. And again, I couldn't be happier with the way that turned out. And some of the areas around it need a little bit more detailing, but the snow looks pretty cool still. So there are aspects of it that I do enjoy. And again, it just looks like people are using those paths between the houses and have worn them out over time, and they turned them into an actual path for people and added some lights for them to see where they're going at night. And again, yeah, we got a little close zoom of that. It looks pretty neat. And here we adjusted the lighting so you can see it at a different time of night and give a more realistic nighttime view of it. It was a little too bright before, so I adjusted it with the Ultimate Eye Candy mod there. As you can see, we're playing around with it now. And here's a little shot at dusk with the sun setting in the background there. It looks sweet. It's something that I want to do more. Instead of, this city has definitely made me want to view the game at different times of the day, where normally when I build cities, I just play them during the day. And you can see we're kind of scrolling through, trying to find a good spot to do the rest of the video at and adjust some of the intensity of the light and make it a little easier on your eyes as you watch this video. And before we get into the changes in this episode, one other thing I did that was lost in that recording was we turned this into a roundabout. At first, I wasn't sure about it. I don't want that freeway to extend into this part of the town, so I do want to end the freeway with that off-ramp there. I might completely change it. Not sure yet, but this roundabout's going to give us the ability to expand those areas a lot more than the existing way that we had the freeway coming through with the 45-degree angles. I like that a lot. And here we started thinking about our major expansion that we're going to do today. And we're going to work our way up this mountain. We're going to eventually, this whole area is going to be filled in with houses where we can. We're going to utilize some of the terrain to dictate where we build and also dictate where we just add details and utilize that terrain to our advantage. And we're gonna have to play around with the height of some of these roads and use Move It to get it smoother. And then also we'll do some terraforming here to make it fit what we want. And again, trying to pay a lot of attention to the details of these roads and make them look clean. Learning how to make the map look nice or make the city look nice with the snow is a new challenge to me, and I'm enjoying that part of it. So I'm having to think about things a little bit differently than you do when there's not snow. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but here we go. We're kind of leveling out the area around it, and then we're gonna smooth it out with the smoothing tool afterwards to give the road, to make the road look more natural in the coming up this slope here. Yeah, I think that turned out pretty good, so we're gonna leave that one alone. And then on this other side of the freeway, we're gonna wanna extend this road as well so that we can then build out a larger part of our residential area and get that going as well. This little triangle that we made here kind of became my enemy at this point. I'm not 100% of a fan of the way it turned out. I think I need to just let the city grow around it and it'll look better. That angle for sure is not going to stay, so I tried to just bring it in straight, and the road assets got a little upset, as you'll see in a second after we get Anarchy turned on. I tried using Move It a little bit to fix that and decided, you know what, let's not deal with that right now. It's probably too sharp of an angle to have the roads blend correctly with at least the assets I have. So we just came in at an angle like this here, about I think it was a 163 angle, and that turned out a little bit better. But again, we wanted to turn this little triangle into a shopping center, and just happens to have our police station and our fire station, which I don't know how realistic that is, but we're going with it in this little small town. They just had to place things in roads that were developed and kept going with developing the rest of the town as they saw fit. So I stared at it for a little bit and debated if I liked it or not, and decided the best approach was probably to move on and see how it turns out long term. And it turned out fine. I was overthinking it and moving on. We added some more main roads for splitting up some of these residential areas. I like to just add these roads in that go straight across. We can see it's kind of a grid, but it's not. The fact that we're using the terrain around the mountain to bend that road up towards the slope, and then also using the existing highway to build the other road in, allows us to have somewhat of a grid system that looks a lot prettier than just a straight up grid. And here we decided to start giving these people some happiness. We gave them some parks to go to. And at this point I was like, this is easier to add parks because of the way the colors blend together with this basic park asset that I'm using. I then went in with the prop and tree anarchy turned on and just added some trees around these parks that got taken away to, you know, bring back that look that I wanted, but also adding in that extra little area for people to hang out who are probably not going to spend much time there because of how cold it is, but it does increase the happiness of the houses, and they're going to level up more. And that's just, you know, just part of the game, getting these houses or these citizens happy so that they will buy more houses or upgrade their houses, and then more people will move into the town. And one thing to note right now is I never shut off the anarchy, the prop and tree anarchy, and right here I lay down some roads, didn't even notice it, but the trees are in the middle of the roads, and I'll clean that up after finishing this recording. But at this point I wanted to play around with that plain road and see, should I have used it, because I didn't even lay it down in the other episodes to see what it looked like. I decided I liked the dark roads in the neighborhoods for this one. This is a first for me since I found that plain road. I've always put plain roads in my residential areas, and I'm liking having a city that looks a little different than my other ones. So we continue to just add some more roads so that we can add more residents here. And you can see what I was talking about, where it is a grid, but it's not just a typical grid that is, just a bunch of squares. There are some angles, there's some diversity to it that makes it look nice. And I can't stress more that you can just use what the map gives you to build a pretty city, and that's what we're going for here. Trying not to overthink everything and just create some of these straight lines that line up with the other roads but don't connect. And this is my style of building, and we kept it going. In this area, we're going to eventually add a high school and some other parks around the high school. I didn't do a parking lot road in this neighborhood. I felt like those were overdue or being overused a little bit. I don't know. Sometimes I like the parking lots around the high school. Sometimes I don't, but we didn't. And here we're doing a little bit of future planning. We want this road to go over the highway. We're going to have a freeway exit right there. So I started kind of lining up where we're going to have some of our freeway exits. Didn't necessarily build anything on this side of the freeway this episode, but I wanted to keep in mind where I wanted the city to grow next and build that infrastructure ahead of time, so I didn't regret not having that lined up where I wanted it long term. So here we go. We debate a little bit on which high school to use, but I think the original high school in the game fits better for this town, so we went with that. Placed it down on that little dead end there, and this is where you can see the trees are still there. The prop anarchy is still on, and we need to clean up those trees. I didn't even notice when I was playing. I think I was so annoyed at this point that we lost that first clip that I was just building to build and wasn't 100% paying attention to details as much as I usually do. And then we run out of money. We placed a lot of stuff down right there. We run out of money. We're gonna have to let the game play a little bit to catch up, and that's just part of it. You build a little bit too fast before you have all the money, and you gotta sit and let the game catch up sometimes. So we do get it to where we have enough money to get these water pipes laid down so that we can add houses in here without them getting mad at us and keep moving forward, which in return will increase our profit and get more tax money coming into Chillhorn to keep it growing and keep it extending. So here the developer of this new neighborhood decided that we wanted to make more money. We wanted to put the houses closer together so that we can fit more houses in and get more tax money coming in and make more money off of selling these homes. I feel like the first area that we built residential wise, we spread out more, got a little bit of detailing in there, and this developer came into this new subdivision, was like, I want to make more money. We're going to cram the houses closer together, kind of like the patterns you see in some of the subdivisions in America that are being built. You no longer get a large lot to yourself unless you pay a lot of money. So that's what we did. And here we're going to finish this commercial / public services area. And this was an idea I've been wanting to do for a while. I just extend a long ways the parking lot, and it's almost like a road inside the town that has parking in it. I think that's a cool idea to have. Like, there's some like older towns that you drive into that just have parking on the side of the road, and you go into there and shop, you park and you leave, and it's just part of the road. But I think I might do that more often in some of these smaller towns that we build. And you can see we did use the zone tool to get rid of the zoning above there and allow us to zone better for the commercial. We're not going to zone anything on that road to the north of this section, so that's a really cool mod to use. The zone tool set, I think it's called. Pretty cool mod if you haven't used it before. It helps with these parking lot roads for sure. You need anarchy turned on, and then you can hit that little rectangle button and adjust the way the zoning is around each of the roads and eliminate zoning where you don't want it. Some people use the trick of adding like a path or a fence that will kick the zoning away if you don't have the mod. So if you're playing on console, you could do just a path there to do that. And here we decided to extend our industry area, and this is where the beauty of turning that into a roundabout came into play. We went ahead and made a nice curve that matches the highway. I was very happy with that. I think that turned out pretty nice. And in this extension here, looks really cool. So I'm happy with everything south of the roundabout. I'm gonna come back and revisit everything above it because it doesn't jive very well to me. And I don't know, maybe it's the perfectionist in me, but I don't like the way that turned out. So we will revisit it, but I was thrilled with this part. And we added in a ton of industry. In my mind, Chillhorn is a highly industrial town. They're not necessarily a high-tech town. It's eventually going to have a snow resort. We have, hardworking people that go to their industry. Maybe coal mining will have, or the ore mining, and they have these just blue collar jobs, and then they're going to have their recreational areas where they go and relax and get away. So again, not using realistic population is going to allow me to build out a lot more commercial and industrial areas compared to the way we did on Socktown. And I love the way it's turning out so far. And it's not just focusing on residential all the time. We do have a good amount of time that we can focus on industry. And here we're just plopping down some restaurants or gas stations for these citizens to visit while they're working. It gives them a nice place to go on their lunch break and mixes up their day for them nice, so they don't have to maybe travel all the way to the other side of town just to take a lunch break. I couldn't get enough of some of the views that you get from the mountains in here. It's really nice. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I don't live in the snow, so seeing the snow in the video game makes me happy. Right here I was really confused. I laid down about 5 of these wind turbines, and it was, I pulled the power down into town so that the electric roads could get access to that power, and it didn't do enough. I was super confused. I don't know if this is one of the things I've learned about Snowfall is it uses a lot more electricity than the non-snowfall maps, and I guess that's part of it. You got a town where it's cold and they need more electricity. And also, as I think about it, I think that is a difference with realistic population. It also changes that. I think we are going to need a lot more electricity without the realistic population mod on. I think that's it. If anyone does know that's watching this, let me know in the comments if I'm right about that. And it's been a long time since I've played with that mod disabled, and it's confusing me a little bit. We're adjusting to it. We're getting through it. I do like the way the city is turning out with the differences of the demands. I mean, we still have a high residential demand, but we did have to... Boomtown. But we did have a high need for industry, which made me happy for this town. I like to think about Chillhorn as a place where there's a lot of industrial workers. I don't even know if we'll add any office complexes. I'm not sure yet. I think I want to keep it small. I was actually debating not adding a single high density building to it, but then I discovered the water pipe with heating pipes. Water pipe with heating pipes. So I was a little confused. I didn't do any research into this DLC when I bought it. I just wanted a city with snow. And then we kind of scroll through these assets and we notice the geothermal heating plant. So apparently that's something we're going to have to focus on next episode. But I did take a little peek at attempting to use them, and of course I couldn't find them at first, and I found it in the water tab and didn't realize it had its own tab up there with the copper looking pipe. Boiler station. So we could add a boiler station apparently and heat things up. I don't know if this just helps people be happy. It doesn't seem like people care that it's cold. Everyone's happy. People are still moving in. I'm a little confused if I need this. Again, people that have used the Snowfall DLC, if you've made it this far in the video, let me know if you ever even care about this part or if you ignore this part of the DLC. I'm debating whether or not I'm even going to focus on it. Seems like a lot of money to spend for something that people aren't complaining about. But it's nice to see, you get this area where you can have the water heat go through. You could have that. I guess it's realistic to add that. I would assume each house needs its own. You don't get a global area where there's a lot of hot water just running into the ground. At least I don't think that's how towns work, but we did do a little bit of learning on that and decided maybe we'll look into that a little bit more. I removed those pipes because I didn't want those buildings to complain about it. since they knew they had the pipes, I guess they were complaining that they weren't getting the hot water that came along with it. So I guess that makes sense. But then, yeah, I was taking a peek at it. No one's complaining about it without the pipes there. So we're going to move on with our life for now. And, again, I was doing a little bit of research here. I guess I should have before I did the city, but we didn't. So we'll learn as we go. And again, if anybody has any feedback for me, let me know. Would love to get that feedback. So here, I think we're going to wrap it up. It turned out pretty cool. Again, disappointed that we lost a little bit of that footage, but plenty happened in this episode. It's starting to grow. I'm starting to get an idea of where this is going to go long term. Again, I'm really debating not having any high density houses. I think that is a cool idea and a cool concept for this snow town that we're creating. Couldn't be more thrilled with the way this industry area is turning out. It is nice and compact compared to the way I usually build, and it's looking really nice with the snow and everything and the curves matching the highway that was, given to us on this map, and I'm digging it. But this is where I'm going to leave you, and thanks for joining, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Chillhorn.